Welcome back to another Purple Pain podcast. Welcome back to unfortunately probably the biggest Purple Pain episode since last January. I have a lot to talk about. It's gonna be like a vent session. Just there will be no topics. Won't be going from this point to that point. Just let it all out. But it is episode 366 of the Purple Pain podcast. The Benny Anderson, Gina Gradkowski, Ben Grubbs, Ryan Jensen, and Ben Cleveland, who is now a Los Angeles Charger episode of the Purple Rain podcast that just happened about an hour or so ago. But, we're here to talk about all things Ravens. We do have a special guest here, but you can follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod, on X, simplyas10. That guy all the way over there, Mr. Sutton Def on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. And Mr. Engraven joining us here. Unfortunately, not under the best of terms. You can follow him, Engraven vids about anywhere. Google him and you will find him. So thank you for spending your Monday evening with us. Sutton, as always, we have a lot to talk about. Where do you want to start? It's hard. What was the biggest, issue? I don't know, man. How are we feeling first off?
I'll say this before. I want to toss it to Engraven. I want him to go first. But I'll say this, Alex. We've been talking for the past couple of weeks about how this Ravens team has been love bombing us, right? They've been love bombing us, and we've been kind of setting ourselves up to keep getting our hearts broken by this Ravens team. And what did they do last night? They left us right there at the altar. It is insane. It's almost comical how like the emotional roller coaster took place in this Ravens season. Like we went from Super Bowl favorites to starting 1-5 to winning 5 straight to winning this game, then losing that game, then winning this game, then having a 7% chance to make the playoffs, all for it to come to a head last night. And the Ravens to, again, be afforded an opportunity to go to the playoffs and be afforded an opportunity to live to see tomorrow, but they ultimately couldn't, man. I am dejected, man. I am distraught. I'm still numb. If I'm being completely honest with you. I was in my car driving around earlier today, and I didn't have any radio on, no music, no podcast, no nothing. I was literally just talking and venting to myself. That's how this Ravens team had me feeling. But again, we do have Engraven, again, a very special guest friend of the show. He's been on multiple times. We appreciate him for taking the time out to come on the show and give us his takes on the Ravens. Engraven, how are you feeling? Not even 24 hours removed from the Ravens season being ended so abruptly. How are you feeling, man?
Better now. Still upset and really, really disappointed how it went. But better now. But now it's like, all right, it happened. It sucked. It was really, really bad. But it's like, what's next? Well, what are they gonna do next? Because for years, so many Ravens fans have been saying for years, get rid of Harbaugh. Time to move on from Harbaugh. Ravens need to move on from Harbaugh. But they would always get so much pushback from the media every time, get so much pushback from analysts, pushback from beat writers, pushback from a lot of people. But this season was different, even the way that this season started off, because after the Ravens lost that game against the Bills, there were so many national media people, a lot of them saying, wait a minute, maybe Harbaugh's not the answer in Baltimore. After that first game against the Bills, them, like you mentioned, they ended up started off 1-5. And Harbaugh was getting a lot of attention on him, a whole lot. So now at this point of the season, it ain't a season no more because our season is done. But at this point, a lot more eyes are on John Harbaugh. But a disappointing part about today, I don't think any Ravens fans expected anything to happen today. We're still waiting on the end of season presser. Hopefully Bashotti will say something. We're just waiting on so many different factors. But the most recent thing that I heard, I'm sure y'all probably caught wind of it too. It was a very almost infuriating video. It had Tom Pelissero on there. It had Ian Rappaport. And I want to say it had Mike Garofalo on there as well. And then somebody else. But they were talking about, John Harbaugh's been with the Ravens for 18 years. And they wouldn't anticipate the Baltimore Ravens making a change on at head coach because he's been there for so long and got this great relationship with them. Da 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 da. But then he started talking about coordinators. He said it's still a possibility that they can make a change at head coach, but he basically said it probably ain't happening. But then he talked about coordinators and talked about how with Todd Monken, he's somebody that could be a very sought after coordinator. Maybe sometimes it just needs a change of scenery. For Todd Monken, possibly for Todd Monken. But then when he talked about Zach Orr, he said, "Oh, Zach Orr's a really good young coach," and he made it seem like Zach Orr ain't going nowhere. And that was like, yeah, I know reporters they talk and they get their little leaks from different agents and stuff like that. But I was just hoping that all that ends up being completely wrong. But the way that the Baltimore Ravens organization is, it seems like that could go down. As soon as, and hey, feel free to cut me off at any time because y'all know I could go on forever about these Ravens, man.
Hey, floor is yours, bro. Floor is yours.
But man, that we knew, I think everybody knew. As soon as during the bye week, I believe that's when it was, when those hit pieces came out on Todd Monken, we all know, oh yeah, this is last year. He's done, that's it. And when Harbaugh had been throwing him under the bus in those press conferences, all while bigging up and praising Zach Orr, that's when we, oh yeah, that's it for Todd Monken. He ain't gonna be back after this year. But then with that report sort of reiterating that, again, we got to see action because the report is one thing, but we got to actually see what ends up happening. But I think a lot of us are just scared that the Baltimore Ravens will continue to do what the Baltimore Ravens have continued to do for years. And that's where they don't take care of the actual issue. I'm somebody, I know a lot of other people have been the same exact way, saying, hey, if Ravens are going to choose one between John Harbaugh and Lamar, it should be Lamar Jackson, but a lot of people feel like it could be John Harbaugh. Now, somebody explained it so well. I forgot who it was because I was just scrolling through Twitter today, just taking it all in, man. I'm like, oh, because last night hurt. That hurt me bad, like really, really bad. But somebody said it perfectly. They said Ravens can go get another head coach, but they cannot get another Lamar Jackson. And that's something so simple, but so powerful. And when they said that, I said, oh, wow. But that's so real because that's true. And it's just Lamar's been with us since 2018. He ain't started till 2019. But it's just been so much. I can't call it a waste, but it's just been so much, not necessarily wasted time, but there's been a lack of effort in a lot of areas with this team. And they could have done so many things differently. Like, hey, look, if you're going to go down swinging, giving it your best shot, giving it your all, I'm good with that. If you're going to go out trying everything that you possibly could have tried to be better, I'm cool with it. And it didn't work out, all right, I'm cool with that. But I just don't feel like the Baltimore Ravens that they did that while they've had somebody as special as Lamar Jackson. And we saw so many different videos over the years. We saw so many different highlight packages. We heard so many different stories. Oh, Lamar Jackson, he's so special. Lamar Jackson this, Lamar Jackson that. Directly from stuff like BaltimoreRavens.com, directly from their people. So it ain't like it was coming from outside sources. No, it was directly from them. But when you see how they did or really didn't treat Lamar Jackson, how they did or really didn't take care of Lamar Jackson as a franchise quarterback, what the lack of what they did while he was on his rookie deal. Even after you get off your rookie deal, there still ain't no excuses. You can still get stuff done, but the lack of what they did while he was on his second contract. It just seems like they did not appreciate Lamar Jackson not nearly as much as they should have. And they did not do enough for just the team in general as much as they could have. One of the biggest things that I think was such an issue this year, and everybody knew about it, was the offensive line. Literally, it was an issue before the Ravens even hit the preseason, because remember that report where it said Lamar Jackson, he got stepped on when they were in practice. Before the season even started, he got stepped on by somebody, but mysteriously, nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew what happened. And then they're like, Chad Steele was like, oh, Lamar Jackson, he's fine. He's okay. Then the next day he missed practice. It's like, oh, hold up. Wait a minute. What's going on? But then with the offensive line, specifically at the guard positions, Ravens fans who sit way at the end of the bar somewhere over there, well, Ravens fans have been saying, like, hey, at guard, I don't know about that, with Voorhees and Falele, I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe we should look in another direction. We should bring in some people. But the Ravens said, no, we got it. We good. And not every single game, but the majority of the game, we see a lot of lowlights, especially from the guards. And I was scrolling on TikTok a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy who was saying, and it's such a great point. He said that for us casual fans, they don't really take notice of offensive linemen. Like, we don't care about that. We watch the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers and stuff, tight ends. We watch all the skill positions and whatnot, even though it takes skill to play every position. But we watch those skill positions. But for casual fans can even see how rough it is with Daniel Falele, how rough it could be with Andrew Voorhees. And not that the other three offensive linemen were perfect, but they had not been nearly as bad as our guards. But the Ravens still continued to put them out there. What happened? Lamar Jackson, he was getting destroyed this season. He's taking more hits than ever, taking more sacks than ever. Ravens still said, no, we're good. Those are the best five. We're straight. We got it. Y'all stay at the end of the ball. We got this. Y'all don't know. And then what continued to happen? Lamar still continued to get hit over and over and over. And then finally in that week 4 game against the Chiefs, he ends up getting hurt. So that's when I thought, all right, maybe, just maybe, this could be it right here. Where the Ravens are they're going to make the change because they see this, their franchise quarterback, he literally got hurt because of bad offensive line, but they stuck with them throughout the entirety of the season. And when they didn't make the change there, I said, oh, it ain't happening. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's another shot when they had a little 10-day break when they played Miami. Then they had a little 10-day window. I'm like, maybe they might make it. They didn't make it there. Then they had the bye week. I'm like, all right, this the last shot. They got one more shot to make a change on this offensive line. They didn't make it there. I said, okay, yeah, that's that. That's it. They're not going to do it.
And you know what? You know what's funny that you bring up the offensive line. You know, Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falele both ended up getting banged up and had to leave the game at one point yesterday. And as soon as Emory Jones got put in the game, I literally watched Emory Jones on his very first rep. He blows his guy 8 yards off the ball, right? And I'm just like, why do the coaches not see that and think that that is a viable candidate to start at either left guard or right guard? I just don't understand that. And another thing before we get to the super chat donation here, you bring up Daniel Falele. I think the funniest thing about last night's game was Chris Collinsworth when Daniel Falele was hurt. Chris Collinsworth saying to a broadcast of 20 million plus people, I'm sure, watching, saying that Daniel Falele is such a huge, important piece of what the Ravens do offensively.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep.
You didn't hear that? I mean, that jumped off the screen to me when I heard that. I mean, I was just like, there's no way that they're giving Daniel Falele his flowers like this in front of 20 million plus people, basically making John Harbaugh look like an actual good coach. Makes no sense to me. Super chat donation here from Always Blessed 410. Appreciate you dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Says, fellas, I love both of y'all shows. How much time does it need to pass for us to realize that the Ravens will not make a change at head coach? And here's why I want to toss it to you, Alex, because I really do think that the Ravens lost this game in the worst way imaginable. You know what I mean? Like, I would have almost preferred if the Ravens would have gotten just completely blown off the field, because losing a close game like that, where you can chalk up the ending of it, the result of it, to a lack of player execution by whether it be a Tyler Loop, who I'm sure we'll get into, whether it be a Cheeto Awuzie who slips on that last play and Calvin Austin gets an easy touchdown over the top off the double move, whether it be whatever, we lost in the worst possible way imaginable. Alex, what do you have to say about that?
So how much time? Less than 24 hours. Because right now, I know we're not going to make a change of head coach. Already by now. If they were a serious team, they would do it. And we haven't. You could look at the guys, Stefanski's been gone already. Gannon, Pete Carroll. And I don't want to go too much off the grid, but Pete Carroll has been to 2 Super Bowls since John Harbaugh was at his one that he won. He's lost one and won one. Very well-respected coach. What's the difference between him and Harbaugh? He went somewhere else. This very respected coach. One and done. Well, what if it's not better after Harbaugh? Why are you talking about the Ravens? Talk about Harbaugh. Because he's not going to go places where he's trusted this much anywhere else. He can go to a team like the Giants, the Dolphins, and be, mid. Cool. It's not going to be Baltimore, and he could be done just like that. Because Pete Carroll, he's done. Probably will never see a coaching job again. It's probably end of the road. I just want to kind of just get the way with the whole Harbaugh thing. We'll be fine after him. I have no doubt about it. We let Lamar go, we will not be fine. Because I was at those games when Lamar was not head coach. I was not a quarterback.
Ooh,
The
yeah.
attendance was a joke, a joke. You will lose money and you will lose fans. Honestly, not just in Baltimore, and not just nationally, globally. Because we've had guys on this podcast come and say they've been overseas and they're fans because of Lamar. So let's get that out of the way. Um, there's not going to be a change. It'll be probably Todd Monken gone when it should be Zach Ward gone. We have guys playing soft coverage. We lose Kyle Hamilton, and we just kind of have 11 Jags out there, unfortunately.
Oof.
Our $100 million linebacker is out there whiffing, losing. He's only good for pregame speeches. And to be honest, they suck. From the first snap to the last snap, you sucked, Roquan. You were awful. You've been awful this whole year. And that really, grinds my gears because we were sold a lemon. This guy was the guy 22, 23, and what has happened since? And it's been a lot of guys getting paid and not playing up to the standard. Kyle Hamilton, you have played up to the standard. You have been the guy. But losing him should not make the whole defense drop levels like they did. Don't want to get too much on a tangent. I want to let you guys talk, but that's just kind of some of the issues I have with this team and yesterday and just in general.
I think another issue with this team too is too little, too late. Why are us as Ravens fans rejoicing, celebrating? We so excited, we so happy. We're like, yes, these Ravens, they figured out how to use Derrick Henry in week 17 last week. That was the first time that we really saw how he should be used. Now, granted, he ain't gonna go off like that against every single team. He ain't gonna go off like that against every single defense that the Ravens face. That'd be unrealistic to have those expectations. But why is it that we finally, in week 17 of the second year of having a Derrick Henry, why is it in week 17? That's when the Baltimore Ravens, we got it now. They finally figured it out. That's been one of the issues with these Baltimore Ravens. Too little, too late. I think another frustration that's a big part of who these Baltimore Ravens are is the way that they lose. Because, like you said, it does probably one of the worst ways to lose a football game. And with the Ravens, Lamar could get sacked. He could throw an interception. The defense, they could get no pressure on the quarterback. They could miss tackles. They could give up a free touchdown. There could be bad penalties, a bad call. There could be all this crazy stuff. But one thing about the Ravens, in the end, they still gonna put themselves in a position to have a chance. They don't be getting blown out. They don't be getting run off the field. None of that hardly ever happens. I don't even remember the last time it did. Well, the
But
Texans
that's
game,
Lamar
but
doing that though.
it is. But with that being said, that's what makes us that much more frustrating, because if you could just clean up something over here, clean up a little bit over there, fix that issue right there, if you would address those things, then that could make life that much easier for this entire football team. But it's the fact that the Ravens don't address those things. They don't make those fixes. Lamar Jackson and these Baltimore Ravens, they were coming off of what were they? The number one seed, I believe, in 2023. And if they weren't the number one seed, then they were super high. But yeah, number one. Oh yeah, because they had the home playoff game. But they were the number one seed in 2023. Took care of business against the Texans, and of course that Chiefs game happened. But right after that, so you the number one seed. You got to the AFC Championship. You obviously fell short, and it's like, all right, fell short. It sucked, but it happened. They decided, you know what? Let's do some experiments. Let's run an experiment at defensive coordinator. We were number one seed the previous year, so you know what? Let's follow that up by hiring somebody that's never been a defensive coordinator before, ever. That's going to be our guy. That's a problem. Lamar Jackson went in 2023, obviously won an MVP, and then the Baltimore Ravens followed that up. They say, you know what? This guy Daniel Falele, let's try him at right guard. They ran another experiment. Why are you running experiments after you've had the highest success? I guess the Ravens they just kept feeling themselves or something. But these experiments that they run, it's a problem. But again, it's so many other problems with this team that fans can see it, and that's another issue too. I remember John Harbaugh a couple years ago when he made that statement about fans at the end of the bar. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, as it should have, because it was just really just straight up disrespectful to the people who support the team that you had a head coach for. But with that being said, why are fans have seen so much stuff with this team in real time, but the Ravens, it's like a lot of the stuff they don't even see in hindsight. So many fans, when even after the AFC Championship game that we lost, so many fans were like, "Hey, Mike McDonald, he needs to be the head coach. That guy needs to be the head coach. It got to be him. He got to be Harbaugh's successor. Ravens, you got to do whatever you can to keep him in the building. He's got to be the guy. Even if you got to move Harbaugh out, move him up to the front office or something, Mike McDonald needs to be the guy." So many fans said that in real time. What happened? The Ravens didn't do it, and now 2 years later, number one seed over the NFC with the Seahawks. With Sam
Oh my
Darnold.
gosh.
Yep.
Sam Darnold. Not Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold. Not Mahomes, not Josh Allen, not Sam Darnold. And ain't no disrespect to Sam Darnold, but he ain't Lamar. But
Hey,
Mike
he also
McDonald.
took Mike McDonald. He took Nick Emanwari, a rookie safety, and said, "All right, you're my new Kyle Hamilton, right? You're going to be, captain this defense, right? And it's worked to perfection, man. I don't want to sit here and gush over Mike McDonald because what's done is done. There's no reason to cry over the spilled milk. But you're absolutely right, though. I mean, in hindsight, which is always 2020, as we know, that was totally, just negligence, pure negligence, right? From all the moves that we saw. Void with the super chat donation brings up can't win games with Jigglypuff and Snorlax at guard, especially when you have a rookie guard who has shown the ability to do the job at a high level. Exactly, another example of a failed experiment, like you said, Engraven, and them just sticking by it, just shamelessly sticking by it. Appreciate the donation, Void. We have another one coming from Gregory. Appreciate you, Gregory, dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Says this season was 1,000% successful. Goal was not a championship. It was for Lamar to void his no trade clause. Serious steps were made in this direction. Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if I'm Lamar, I'm not to me or Harbs. That's kind of what I would put it at. If he voids a no trade clause, I wouldn't blame him at this point because I saw somebody put up a perfect fourth quarter damn near, and his defense told him 2 separate times. Let them get walked down on by Aaron Rodgers, Adam Thielen, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Pat Fryermuth, and Calvin Austin. Yeah.
That's what's so annoying, bro. Is because like Engraven said, it's too little, too late. So many times in Lamar Jackson's career has he went absolutely scorched earth at the end of a game to do whatever he needs and doing whatever he needs to do to make sure that the Ravens have an opportunity to win. And all it comes down to is like somebody please step up and make a play, right? Lamar Jackson cannot do it all. I'm sure. In hindsight, I guess we should have trotted out Lamar Jackson to attempt that 44-yard field goal because he was the only one who was going to do anything, anything positive. Isaiah Likely, of course, you tip your cap to him for getting that 4th and 7 catch. Love that, but outside of that, man, and we're getting to the Tyler Loop. Actually, let me bring up the super chat donation. It's from Ticker Flipper. Thank you so much, making it rain here on PRP. Says kneeing with a timeout with King Henry, Harbs is scary, too safe. Now, what did y'all think about the decision? Because in real time, when I was watching it, Isaiah Likely gets the big catch down the field. Crazy. We get to the 24-yard line or something like that. Absolutely crazy, right? I was going nuts in my living room. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, now we get to kick a field goal, but there's still 14 seconds left. We have one timeout. Right, and this was after they decided to kneel the ball and try to center it for Tyler Loop, and they ended up losing 2 yards, which made it 44 yards. And I was just thinking to myself like, we're not going to run another play. We're not going to give it to Derrick Henry, who's averaging 6 yards a carry tonight, and just give him one shot at it. You know what I mean? I don't think he would fumble. I understand the thought process of, hey, look, let's just get this kick out of the way. Let's go home. We don't even want to give the Steelers a chance to turn us over, some sort of freak fumble, something like that. We don't even want the chance. So, again, in real time and even in hindsight, too, I'm not mad at the decision to not go for and run an extra play. But end of the day, man, Tyler Loop, you got to make that kick. You got to make that kick. And I said this at the very beginning of the season, before the season even started. I said transitioning from Tucker to Loop, there's going to be some growing pains, right? And eventually, Tyler Loop is going to be put in a situation where it's make this kick or your team loses. Unfortunately, Tyler Loop never had to experience that this entire season. This entire season, Tyler Loop was kicking, I don't want to say meaningless kicks, but no kicks that were like literally like the entire game is riding on you right here,
That's a
right?
good.
And so it was unfortunate that the very first time that he had to do that was against the Steelers in a big spot where it was literally for the entire season.
Yeah.
One might say, I mean, you could probably predict a miss. He was bound to have a miss like that, a mistake, a mishap like that at some point in his career. But Alex, what did you think about the loop kick and the setup and everything?
You're putting too much faith in a guy who's never been put in that situation. You know, I think there's a great comment that was just brought up about Derrick Henry. Um, the world class. It makes no sense not to see if Derrick Henry can make a walk off home run touchdown. He did it in 2020 against us with the Titans at home. I don't know if you remember that game. Overtime, they were in field goal range. They handed it off to Henry. He went through our defense and scored. Uh, Going back 2 yards for a guy who, once again, has never had a high leverage kick in his career yet, in Pittsburgh, in a hostile environment, you have 14 seconds and a timeout. Run up the middle, get him more yards. I don't understand that. And we played too conservative and we just played to lose, I think. That just to me, what, really gave you that confidence in him? You're not trotting out Sebastian Janikowski, Brandon Aubrey. You're not sending out one of the greats, sending out a rookie who has never been in this position. And I feel like, not saying we set him up to fail, but you expect him to make that, but you didn't make his life any easier at all. I would have definitely, ran, try to get 5 more yards and make it under 40 and, closer to an extra point. But at the end of the day, you got to hit that. That's why you're picked. And it goes back to me, even as training camp. What was his competition? An undrafted free agent? Something we're on record saying we wanted to bring in a veteran to make this an actual competition. That's not a competition.
Yeah.
Some random guy from some FCS college. That is not a competition, and they kind of set us up to fail even from Jump Street.
Yeah. With
Yeah.
that, play. Oh, you want to address the super chat first?
Yeah, let's get into the super chat really quick. Maddie Boom, appreciate you for dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Maddie says Harbs and Orr will stay and Munkin will go, even though it should be the other way around. It's sad, man. This might be the biggest draft in the Lamar Jackson era. Honestly, I don't know if a draft can fix what's going on. I think there's deeper issues at play here. And we mentioned, John Harbaugh, and you guys saw the tweets this morning. And then Graven, I want to toss it to you after this. You guys saw the tweets where I think it was Josina Anderson who tweeted like, "Oh, like
Gosh.
league sources have said that it's probably looking like one of the coordinators are going to go from Baltimore, right?" If we had to guess, like I said, with the hit pieces and the public scrutiny from Harbaugh to Todd Monken, I think Todd Monken's probably going to be the one going out the door. I think that they'll hold on to Zach Orr. Because they look at him as more like homegrown, you know what I mean? He's the experiment. Again, he's the experiment, right? Homegrown experiment. They will never let go of those. So, I mean, you're absolutely right, Matty Boom. I just don't know how much a draft is going to save this team right now. I just don't. By the way, over 200 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Again, this is the Purple Rain Podcast. We got our guy in Graven Videos, the king of Ravens YouTube. He is in the house, and he's breaking everything down. He's smoking the mic right now, man. He's going off. I mean, it's a rant, but it's rightfully so. I mean, keep going, man. Take it away. What else you got for me?
I will say one suggestion that I've seen from a lot of people throughout this season that I hate. Nothing against the people, but against the suggestion. They say, hey, the Ravens, they don't got to fire Harbaugh. They can move him up to the front office, and then they can bring in somebody else. Absolutely not. That would be a terrible decision, in my opinion. Why? Because Harbaugh will still have his hands on whatever the Baltimore Ravens do. The Baltimore Ravens, they got to pull the plug on this thing, man. They probably not, but it's what they need to do. Because if the Baltimore Ravens continue to do the same thing over and over and over, and the Harbaugh stays, we get a new defensive coordinator, we get a new offensive coordinator, we get a new QB coach, this coach, that, but head coach remains the same, we're going to expect the same results. And it'll be really, especially after this year too. It's been after the past couple, but especially after this year, it's going to be really tough to buy into what the Baltimore Ravens are selling if John Harbaugh remains the head coach. His reputation is what his reputation is. Well, actually, no, I take that back because like you talked about with Josina Anderson, she said how John Harbaugh helped build the culture in Baltimore. And a lot of people were responding to that like, whoa, whoa, he ain't helped build the culture in Baltimore. He helped build whatever it is now because it's pretty much hanging by a thread. And these guys just they known as underachievers. Known as coming up short. But the culture that it was, that wasn't built off of John Harbaugh. That was built off of guys like a Ray Lewis, like a Ed Reed, like a Terrell Suggs. I mean, we can go down the list. But with Harbaugh, I would actually say he kind of destroyed the culture that the
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens
Hmm.
used to have.
Hmm.
And that's when you think about it, that's scary. But so many people continue to acknowledge, oh, and that used to be when there was the whole Ravens fans civil war back some years ago when had been talking about getting rid of Harbaugh. A lot of Ravens fans said if not Harbaugh, then who? But a lot of people said too, which I know you've been seeing a lot of it today, especially from these media and analysts and reporters and stuff. They say if the Ravens move on from Harbaugh, he'll get picked up so fast. He'll be one of the most sought after head coaches in the league. Every time I hear
Ooh.
that, I say, yeah, great. That's amazing. Hey, shout out to Harbaugh. Thanks for everything. But you enjoy him now. He's all I would have no problem with that. Right now, they're saying Kevin Stefanski, he's the hot commodity right now since he just got fired. But they're saying, oh, if John Harbaugh leaves, then he will overtake Kevin Stefanski as the hottest head coach out there. Hey, great. But I think one thing that's extremely important for the Baltimore Ravens to do, and I feel like not that they have to let us know, but if something is gonna happen, it has to happen very, very soon. Why? Because like you mentioned earlier, the Cardinals, they got rid of their head coach. The Browns, they obviously got rid of their head coach. The Raiders, they got rid of Pete Carroll. So teams are firing their head coaches, and they're going to be ready to find their replacements ASAP. So they're already requesting interviews for head coaches. It's being GMs being requested for interviews. That process is already moving. So if, again, don't think it will happen, but if, hopefully it will, if the Ravens are going to do something with John Harbaugh, it has to happen fast because things are moving for other teams already, and you want to get ahead of the game. Them losing the game last night, I don't like that. Oh, it's a blessing in disguise. Oh, it's good that the Ravens. I wanted the Ravens to win, of course, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So this gives them an opportunity. All right, let's get ahead of things. Whatever we're gonna do this offseason, it needs to happen quick, fast, and in a hurry. You need if something's gonna happen with Harbaugh, it's got to be done now, so you can go ahead and start bringing in candidates and finding out who your next head coach is gonna be. And one last thing I will say on this head coaching thing, somebody pointed out to me because I didn't even think about it, but they said if for whatever reason the Baltimore Ravens spot opens up, that will be one of the most sought after head coaching jobs in the entire football league because you have an organization where the GM has, hey, they get a head coach the key and say, hey, what you want me to get, what you want me to do, and that they are a very consistent organization too. They're not the greatest in the world, but they are very consistent. They don't have a bunch of turnover, like, oh, we firing this guy, get rid of that. No, they've been very, very consistent. And even though that has been a problem, and that has been to their own demise with a lot of it, but they are very, very consistent. There's a lot of continuity with the Baltimore Ravens. So I actually think if the job opened up for the Ravens for head coach, there will be people ready to quit whatever their current job was and be putting in their resume, sending in applications and stuff like, oh, I want that. So just Ravens, if they do this thing right, they could turn it around like that. They really could, but we ain't got all the confidence in the world for them to do it right.
Not at all, not at all. And you guys see we got a couple more super chat donations in here. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for coming through, supporting, donating. Again, it's a tough time for all of us Ravens fans, right? So you guys know we got to have these therapy sessions after losses like that, crushing losses like that. Um, Again, man, because I mean we've been again such an emotional roller coaster of a season. And for that game to go the way that it did yesterday, and I actually have some more takes on why the Ravens lost that game. It's not just Tyler Loop. It's not just Cheeto Awuzie slipping at the end. There's a couple more things as well that I want to get into. But before I do, a couple donations here. This one's coming from Shelly, one of our members. Appreciate you, Shelly. Shelly says, do you think we will hear from Steve Bisciotti, whether Harb stays or not? He needs to come out of hiding or hibernation, one of the two. Oh, no, I don't know. We're not hearing from Steve Bisciotti. We're going to hear the season concluding press conference from EDC and John Harbaugh, but Steve Bisciotti will not be there, right? He will not be there. Steve Bisciotti only comes out when it's super duper safe to come out. I mean, I'm talking off season, vibes are starting to get high around the Ravens again. Then he'll come out and do a little interview with the Ravens media, right? So no feathers get ruffled. But no, I don't think that we're going to hear from Steve Bisciotti because I think Steve Bisciotti knows that nobody wants to hear anything he has to say unless it's, hey, we're moving on from John Harbaugh. And I don't think he wants to do that. He's not ready to do that because John Harbaugh is his guy. Of course, as we know, Steve Bisciotti inherited this team from Art Modell, rest in peace. And he fired Brian Billick and hired his own guy, John Harbaugh. And now 18 years later, here we are. They do not want to rip the Band-Aid off of this relationship. And like Engraven has said himself, other other teams around the league have already started shopping, right? They've already started shopping for their next head coach. So if the Ravens want to do something now, I mean, they would have had to. You got to hop on that like Black Friday deals. You got to hit the stores early. You can't wait till late because all the shelves gonna be empty. There's not gonna be no candidates, right? Then it's really like, okay, John or who? But so I totally agree with you there, Engraven. They need to make something happen, and they need to make something happen fast. But no, Shelley, I do not think at all that Steve Bisciotti will be speaking to the public. This one's coming from Josh Hoffman. Appreciate you, Josh, dropping the 10-piece in the chat. Says Harbs and EDC seem to forget we are dependent on Lamar Jackson freak plays to the point they did not recognize their O-line was bad for years. I'm worried that they are delusional. Monken will get a job too, by the way. Oh, absolutely. Monken will definitely get hired somewhere else. But, and you're right. The Lamar Jackson freakish plays, again, like we mentioned earlier in the show, he's going to do things that make sure that this Ravens team has a chance to win it by the end of it. Now, like I said 2 minutes ago, I have more reasons why I think that the Ravens lost this game. I think that the main reason why the Ravens lost this game, quite simply, they played with their food, right? You open up the game. I think that we were up 10-0, right? At one point, we were up 10-0. And so that's a 2-possession lead. And for the second and third quarter, pretty much the entire second and third quarter, the Ravens were living. Guys, listen to me. The Ravens were living in 2nd and 7 through 9. You cannot do that and expect to win football games, right? You have to win on first downs, and we just didn't do it enough until Lamar Jackson in the fourth quarter said, screw it. I'm going to go scorched earth again, and I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to make a play. And that's what he did. But throughout in the middle of that game, right? Like the bulk of it was the Ravens offense just being painfully bad. I know Derrick Henry had over 100 yards in the first half. That's awesome. I love that. Brian, appreciate the sub. That's awesome. I love that. But at the same time, I mean, largely throughout the second and third quarter, I mean, he was getting stopped. We only put him on the field. We only ran him 5 times in the second half, right? But it was because the Ravens were not winning on first down. And then, of course, the defense just absolutely fell apart there towards the end. It seems like we just can't play. The Ravens are allergic to complimentary football. It's either the defense is playing well and the offense is not, or the offense is playing well and the defense is not. And it's so poetic that at the very end of the game, it wasn't necessarily offense that ended the game for us. It wasn't necessarily defense that ended the game for us. It was what? Special teams. John Harbaugh's specialty, right? And you saw John Harbaugh hugging Tyler Loop after the game. I'm sure John Harbaugh was thinking to himself, Tyler Loop, you don't know it, but you just saved my job. You just saved my job. Because now, when we have these exit interviews, I'm sure that he has with DaCosta and Bisciotti in private, we can say, well, we can chalk up the loss to rookie missing the kick. Oh, well, bad luck. We'll get him next time, right? Let's run it back again. That's where we're at with it, man. And I just, I really don't know. I really don't know what else to say. But did you guys kind of get that as well? Like throughout the game, the offense was like, because it wasn't all rainbows and sunshines like it was at the very end when Lamar Jackson was just throwing rainbows to Zay Flowers, right? Most of this game, the Ravens offense wasn't doing much. And I felt like Lamar Jackson had a little bit to do with that, right? As good as Lamar Jackson played in that second half, especially that fourth quarter, there were some moments in the game where I felt like he was being a little bit too indecisive again. And I said this all last week. I said the only reason why I like Tyler Huntley running this Ravens offense is because Tyler Huntley is not a big game hunter. He's not looking for the home run. Right? He will take a 6 and 7 yard scramble in a heartbeat. And what does that do? That keeps the Ravens offense on the field. And Graven, did you get a sense that the Ravens offense was stalling throughout the middle of the game? And what did you think of the bigger picture of the Ravens offense?
Oh, they definitely were. Because they came out that first drive. Lamar threw that beauty to Tejas Walker for the touchdown. And Derrick Henry was doing his thing too. But after that, it just got really, really quiet from the offense. They just could not do much of anything. They could not finish. I know Lamar, he got sacked a couple of times. He was taking some hits. He got the ball swatted a couple of times, and then that crazy Looney Tunes type interception with T.J. Watt.
Another
Because with
one.
Lamar can't have no regular turnovers, man. It's always something just out of this world. But it really reminded me of the game last year, the playoff game against the Bills last year, to where Lamar did not have the best first half. But in that second half, he cleaned it up. He fixed the issues. He got it right, and he went crazy in the second half and did everything that he could do, and did everything in order to put the Baltimore Ravens in position to get the win. Well, last year was for the tie, but then this year it was for the win. But of course, those other factors like Mark Andrews' hand and Tyler Lue's feet, they ended up just not coming through. Um, with the Tyler Huntley part, with Tyler Huntley, yeah, he is decisive, but I think that's because the Baltimore Ravens do not give him many options to decide from. With Tyler Huntley, when you can see it as soon as he snaps the ball, he'll snap the ball, he'll look to exactly where he's going to throw to, and he'll lock onto that target, and he'll still throw to that target. Even if a defender's that he
Yeah,
will lock on because what Lamar
it's
Jackson,
scary sometimes.
yeah, it is. But Lamar Jackson, he'll scan the field, he'll look around. But with Tyler Huntley, I feel like they bring the game way down. They don't push it down the field. They make it just all short stuff, and they keep it very very simple for Tyler Huntley. Like, hey, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and complete short passes. If you don't see your first read, hey, just go. So I think that's the biggest difference with Tyler Huntley versus Lamar Jackson and the offense. Tyler Huntley just is again is a much more simplified game with way less options, and I think they say, hey, we don't mess up, don't throw the interception, get it to your first guy or just go. And that's why a lot of the same conversation has been had, like, oh yeah, Tyler Huntley, he just seems so much more decisive than Lamar Jackson. But again, I just don't think he has many options to go to because they don't give it to him because they don't trust him like that.
That's fair. Alex, your thoughts on that?
Um, they tell Huntley to be a game manager. I mean, that's all I really got for it. I don't think I ever wanted to see number five out there. As long as Lamar, was healthy,
Right, right.
I just don't think he would, especially their defense came to play. Unlike the Packers, Cam Hayward came to hit. Those guys came to hit. The Packers just laid down. They were scared of Derrick Henry. The Steelers weren't. So I do want to bring up something though, which I think really hurt us. You mentioned, why we lost. I'm gonna go penalties, and this goes back to the coach. I mean, nine
Mm,
penalties for
Yeah.
78 yards.
oh, I didn't know we had that much. Wow.
I mean, we had what, the 5 yard illegal formation. I think we had a Tez Walker false start, which I think we ran 8 plays in the third quarter. We had a whopping 13 yards, backing us up once again. You mentioned, the 2nd and 7, 2nd and 9s. Like, that's why. Year 18 for the head coach, and you are still one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. Why isn't NFL Network talking about that? Why isn't ESPN talking? They don't, I don't think they do enough research, but that's a huge reason why I want him gone. This is a very undisciplined team. I think in the first quarter, Aloha
Yeah.
Gilman is taunting in front of a receiver. Why are we doing that? Do you want to give a free 15 yards? Can somebody, lock him and say, this is a big game? Stop celebrating because now you have egg on your face. You lost. So it was for nothing. But I could go on and on about this coach. I don't think anything will change. And we get kind of Oscar's point here. He says, here's hot take. EDC is tired of hit with Harbs. Not happening. We are at a bigger risk losing Lamar than we were in 2023 when he signed his deal.
Yeah, Alex, because, Lamar Jackson was asked last night directly after the game, like, hey, what about your future in Baltimore? And he couldn't even comment on that. He couldn't even comment on. I mean, if you really wanted to shut down any sort of narrative and you really felt strongly about being a Raven, I think that it would be pretty easy to say, no, I'm a Raven. Like, I want to be a Raven for life. I mean, I know we lost today. It sucks, but I'm 10 toes down with this team. And he didn't even say that. So there is like, and here's the thing. Here's the worst thing. As we know, Lamar Jackson is gearing up to enter into another contract negotiation with the Ravens to get this second big contract, right? Because who wants to deal with a $75 million cap hit? The Ravens got to negotiate with him. Thing is, Lamar Jackson holds every single card in the deck right now. And if last night's game wasn't like, an example showing you that, I don't know what is, right? Because without Lamar Jackson, this team would fall absolutely flat on its face. I understand Tyler Huntley with 2 starts, 2 wins. Love that. Cool. But sustainable success in being able to beat, high-powered offenses and actually beat playoff teams, I don't think Tyler Huntley would have done anything in the playoffs. Let me just be clear. Let me be very clear about that. When I said what I said a couple of minutes ago, I'm not saying that I would have preferred Tyler Huntley to start. I just like his decisiveness with the football, and I feel like that's what this Ravens team needs right now. You know, if the defense played up to snuff, right? If they played even just average, right? Especially after Kyle Hamilton went down with that concussion, then we'd be fine. We'd be just fine. But unfortunately, we do not have a defense who we can rely on, who we can trust. So we need our offense to be our defense. And what does that look like? It means staying on the field, which is why I said, like, the Ravens living in 2nd and 7 through 9 is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. That's exactly where the Steelers wanted us. They wanted us in 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, so they can get us to 3rd and long and get us off the field, eliminate the threat of Derrick Henry and get us off the field. And they did that so many times, bro. So many times. But Oscar, I do agree with you there. I don't think that anything's going to happen when it comes to Harbaugh at all. And yeah, he's tied to the hip with EDC. That's for sure. As we know, they're neighbors. Kwame with another super chat donation. Appreciate you dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Says he's decisive in the run game too. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then I appreciate that, Kwame. And then DWAS with another 2-piece says, I'm sad, Alex. Just sad. I'm very sad. I'm right there with you, DWAS. I just, I've been a fan of this team for a long time, right? And like Engraven said, this team looks totally different. Like the culture that's been built here, they look unrecognizable. These aren't the Baltimore bullies that we were used to seeing in the days of, again, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell.
Oh, your mic, son. No, your mic.
Yeah, but he's right. These ain't the same Ravens that they used to be like at all. The coach is just it's not the same, man. And Harbaugh he's the reason for that. He's definitely the reason for that. So again, when you hear comments like what Josina Anderson was saying earlier today, it's like come on, man. It's time. It's been time for years. It's still time now that the Baltimore Ravens they move on. I still don't foresee them doing it. But again, we can hope for the best. Really got to hope for the best, man.
Yeah, it's a here we go again situation, and I feel like I've kind of been on this Harbaugh out train for a while now. I thought 23 kind of redeemed himself with me. Thought he coached well, but you can kind of see it's just we go into games we should be winning, and we get them close and then we lose. It's just been a recurring theme, and I think for me when I went on Twitter last night and I saw the big NFL pages kind of like that's so Raven. I'm like, so we've gone mainstream now.
Yeah.
Our jokes have become mainstream. Our shortcomings have become mainstream. It's not just a Baltimore area thing, or it's not just a Raven thing. It is everybody seeing this now. So that is definitely telling to me. And thank you, Josh. He says if we run this back with Harbin and Sad again, or our QB gets hobbled by a whiff block, things get ugly like we've never seen. And that's a scary thought and a scary truth. I think you're 100% right. You mentioned these experiments. I just want to know, were they in there in Florida said, you know what, let's take this oversized tackle and put him at guard. And I remember that there was that one clip, I think, in the all season last year when Falele got beat, and you could see Lamar about to take a hit. And that really blew up. I don't know if you remember that Engraven. It was like one of the practice clips. And from then, that's where he lost me. I was like, this experiment is just bound to fail. It's doomed to fail. It exploded. You can't clean it up.
It's tough, but one thing I will say, the only possible bright spot with that, because with these Ravens, you never know, but Daniel Falele, now he's a free agent, getting ready to be one. But what's scary, I hope they don't, but it's still a possibility. What if the Ravens re-sign Daniel Falele? That would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. But to my guy Josh's point, he said if we run it back with Hobbs and an inside again, or our QB gets hobbled by a whiff block, things get ugly like we never seen. That's literally what happened this year. That's literally, it would be the same thing rinse and repeat. It will be the same exact thing as what happened this season. All that stuff happened, all of it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Wait, can you guys hear me now?
we loud and clear.
We can hear you, yeah.
All
And
right.
you bring up resigning Falele. Think about the talent offensive line we've let out the door for comp picks, for
Mm.
fourth and fifth and sixth rounders. Um, Kevin Zeitler was still going strong this year. We let Ben Powers go for a lot. We've let other linemen go, but to keep Daniel Falele, I mean, I hate to say it, like when casuals that watch games, they'll tune into a Ravens game every now and then because it's on, or they go to the game because they got free tickets. When they know the Falele name, it's
Mm.
not good.
Yeah,
He
that's
went
Yeah.
mainstream. He like
mm,
Yeah,
that's
I
true.
should.
this guy had TikToks made about him from not just Ravens fans,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
from guys around the league, and I feel like I think Harbaugh set him up to Harbaugh set him up to fail, and he became a scapegoat, and he became the biggest name I think on this offense next to Lamar, and that's for all the wrong reasons,
Mm.
and that's a spot you never
Yeah.
want to be in.
Yeah, that's
Totally agree with you there, Alex. And I wanted to bring up some pending free agents that the Ravens have going into 2026. Here's the list, and I want you guys to kind of throw at me some names who the Ravens absolutely must have back. Okay, so here's the list of 2026 Ravens free agents. So you have center Tyler Linderbaum, tight end Isaiah Likely, offensive lineman Daniel Falele, cornerback Cheeto Awuzie, punter Jordan Stout, wide receiver D Hop, fullback Patrick Ricard, safety Ardarius Washington, outside linebacker Draymond Jones, outside linebacker Kyle Van Noy, tight end Charlie Collar, safety Alohi Gilman, and running back Keaton Mitchell. Now, out of those names, who give me two or maybe three that you definitely think that the Ravens should bring back for next season? And Raven.
I would say because again his deal won't be much, but he's still very effective, especially for what you should be doing, especially if Derrick Henry's still there. I would say Pat Ricard, just
Got
because of
to.
everything that he does.
100%.
Keith Mitchell, I think he's an exclusive rights free agent. I don't remember, but yeah, they could bring him back too, and then that would be a very very low deal too. Who was the person you said? Who the first three names? Oh, Tyler Linderbaum.
Yep.
Linderbaum would be one that I would want back. I just don't think that history's on his side with the Baltimore Ravens because they don't be paying centers like that. They don't be paying centers big money like that. So I don't know. And he again, they already declined the 5th year option. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I would want him back too.
Yeah. What
Um,
about Likely? You want Likely back?
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up. With the Mark Andrews contract, that was very surprising when they signed him to that contract, but it's also been very disappointing too.
Hmm.
That it was really disappointing because it what I think happened, I don't know, but what I assume happened is that they had a deal on the table for Likely, and Likely was like, "Nope, I ain't doing that." They tried. He's like, "Nope, I ain't doing that." And they were like, "All right, if you ain't gonna take this, Mark Andrews will." And I think that's what ended up happening. Because I think they just didn't want to be caught in free agency with no tight end. So they were like, all right, Mark, we're just run it back, just come through. And really, ever since that contract, he ain't really been doing much of anything. It's been
Which
crazy.
makes no sense in Graven because you know that this Ravens team has a history of being able to draft and develop tight ends. So I mean, why not let Mark Andrews walk? I totally do not understand. I think after the signing, after the extension, I think he has what maybe I think it's 11 catches. I did the numbers earlier. I think he had like 11 catches for like 90 yards, right? Since the extension. He's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing to prove that we need to or we needed to extend him for 3 more years. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Alex, what do you have? Who do you think we should bring back?
I agree with Raven. I really rate Kolar. I like what he brings to the
Oh,
team
yeah.
blocking
Mhm.
wise. I think
Mhm.
he has sure hands. As for the whole Andrews thing, when you've looked at the tight ends that have went in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round with our scout, and you mentioned just the history of what we have, we've
Yeah.
made guys from small colleges a lot of money. I'd say. I just don't see why
Yeah.
you re-sign Andrews, and I said it before I was a big supporter of his, but after these showings the past couple of weeks, and it started with that whole fumble against the Patriots. I'm out on this guy. This guy is just like to me a double agent. It feels like in the big moments he chokes, and he had the catch yesterday on the out route. I hope you catch that when you're making that much money. I would love to have Likely and Kolar back, but I feel like giving Andrews that money, I don't get it. I just don't see that vision there. And
Mhm.
I see a guy like Harold Fannin who went to the Browns. Like this guy is damn. I think he's a future superstar as a tight end. going to Bowling Green. Like with our scouting, we can find the next guy like that in this draft. And to just give out 40 million, I know it's like a 1 year extension type. It just feels like money that could go towards the line. And another point of mine, I just don't think we are building the team with the right philosophy. EDC has a much smarter football mind than me, but to keep on going, secondary, 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 when this pass rush can't get to Aaron Rodgers,
Mm.
watch what the Texans do to him next week. That's what a team that invests in the D line, invests in the trenches, will do to a quarterback.
Yeah, he's going to get sacked like 3,000 times next week in Pittsburgh against Houston, and I can't wait to see it, right? But and what I'll say is this: the Ravens have the 14th pick. They're locked in at the 14th pick of the NFL draft. I think they have 11 total draft picks, which is crazy because we only really make use of maybe 3 guys on a good draft year, out of all the guys we normally get. So it's just I don't know what's going to happen there. Of course, the draft is a couple months away. We'll have to wait and see. Shelly here with a super chat donation. Shelly says, if you've noticed, certain teams have started playing conservative against us because they know the Ravens are going to make the costly mistake and keep the opposing team in the game or win it. And it's sad. And, when you say that, Shelly, before I toss it to you and Graven, I think right back to that Buffalo playoff loss last year, right? I think right back to that because that was a game where, of course, the Ravens lost, but Josh Allen and that Bills offense, it's not like they went crazy on us because they
Right.
didn't. They just kind of sat back. They didn't make mistakes, right? And they let us make all the mistakes. And by the end of it, we still had a chance to, tie that game or maybe go ahead and win it. But we made another mistake, man. It's just this Ravens team, again, they will find ways to lose. They so creative with it, too. So creative. You know what I mean? I've never seen this level of creativity and just finding a way to drop the ball when it matters most. It's crazy to me. But, Engraven, what do you got about that?
That's real. They do that a lot, like you mentioned with Buffalo in that last playoff game. Yeah, they just chilled. They didn't do anything. And Mike Tomlin said it years ago. He said the Ravens, they don't play 4 quarters. They don't play 4 quarters of football. He exposed that a while back, and we've seen that. We keep seeing that. A lot of times they'll play 3 quarters. Sometimes they might only play a half, but a lot of times they play 3 quarters. But they are not good closers, and they just haven't been good finishers. And that's again another reason why I think this is a direct reflection of the guy in charge, that being the head coach. So even more ammunition for why the Baltimore Ravens should make that move. Well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
We want the Ravens to move on from Harbaugh. Will they? We'll see. But what's a player that you wouldn't mind the Baltimore Ravens moving off from, who may be under contract right now?
I can start.
I know who
Go
you're
ahead.
going to, and I agree. That's my same guy right there.
This guy is probably one of my favorite players. I have his jersey. I am a avid card of sports collectors. He is my PC, my personal collection. I have a lot of his cards. I have tons of autos. I spend a lot of money. Rashad Bateman.
I forgot about him. I wasn't even thinking about him.
I,
I was
I,
thinking
I
of a different guy.
listen. I've been on here. I probably defend him the most. When I say I love, I
Me
do
too.
love him as a player.
Mhm.
I think the time has come. I saw somebody who put up double-digit touchdowns last year, a red zone target in this offense, and I have. Oh, I see the. I do agree with the comments, but I'm just kind of going towards somebody who's like you probably wouldn't expect me to say. This guy got a $33 million extension, and Puka Nakua in one game put up more touchdowns or the same touchdowns and more yards than him with less receptions.
Mm.
Um, I still think he has the talent. I don't think it is here in Baltimore. I
Mhm.
don't think he has the trust from maybe the coach, head coach that is. But I think a change of scenery is needed for both sides. I think they can move on from him, and it genuinely pains me to say that. Like I'm staring at his jersey right here, but I just think for both parties, it is best for him to move on. And people bring up Max Crosby. I think the Raiders are probably drafting the guy from Indiana, number 1 overall. They could use a
Yeah.
target for him along with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. See what they're calling, but for me, Bateman, I love you, but definitely time to go somewhere else.
And
Yeah.
when you have Tez Walker doing what he's doing, right, who clearly needs more targets, he needs an opportunity, a real opportunity in this Ravens offense, then it makes all the more sense to go ahead and move on from Bateman. And again, it's no bad blood. It's just it didn't work out here. I think he can be a really good receiver somewhere else in an offense that's more catered towards throwing the football. Now, my pick for this is going to be Marlon Humphrey. That's right, Marlon Humphrey, number 44, man. I mean, we are paying this guy way too much money to consistently get burned the way that he does. I mean, that completion that he gave up to Adam Thielen was just inexcusable. He doesn't have the athleticism anymore, right? He can't be physical like he used to. He can't keep up with guys, and it doesn't really seem like he cares, to be honest with you. I mean, I know like after the game, you did a little interview. He looked, kind of sad, whatever. But literally, what? Not even 10 hours later, he's hopping right back on Twitter, like, "Good morning, sunshine. I'm back." Social media, you know what I'm saying? Like, who wants to? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just he comes off so tone deaf. Every single victory, he's gonna go on Instagram Live. I'm just done with him. I'm done with the dude, man. He's not his play on the field does not warrant his antics off of the field, right? And these are again these aren't like necessarily he's not committing any crimes or anything like that or doing anything necessarily wrong, but he just doesn't read a room, man. It's like for me, it's your ass on the field. And sorry for Team Keep It Clean. My bad. I'm so sorry. But you're terrible on the field. And then you gaslight us the very next day talking about yeah, I'm back on social media. Who missed me, basically? I just get this dude off my team. It's going to be Marlon Humphrey for me all the way. But I do agree with Roquan Smith as well.
Yep, and that's mine. With Marlon Humphrey, I don't mind that. I know Marlon Humphrey's a troll, but with Marlon Humphrey, yeah, I would say if you're gonna keep him at corner, then he gotta go. The only way I would be cool with Marlon Humphrey staying on the team is if he moves to safety. I think that's the only thing you could do because at corner that's done. As far as Rashad Bateman, yeah, it just like you said, simply change the scenery will be best. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was because last year he did his thing and it was looking like all right. He did that last year. Oh man, this year he about to take off even more, but just didn't happen. And it's crazy to think about it. So I think him being gone would be good for him. Yeah, it just makes sense. But yeah, my pick was Roquan Smith. That's what I actually thought you were gonna say simply. But it would be Roquan Smith. Because with him and Patrick Queen, oh man, it was such a nice pairing. I like them two together. But Roquan Smith has since he's just gotten really quiet. And he's this, like you talked, the rah-rah speeches and all that. Yeah, we got to do this and da-da-da-da. But we don't see those game-changing plays from somebody making that 20 mil per year linebacker. I just feel like we don't get we don't get what we should be getting out of Roquan Smith for all the talk, for all the money, for the position that he plays. He's in my opinion, he's not an explosive linebacker. He's not a game-changing linebacker. He can tackle, but what's the area in Roquan Smith's game where you like, oh man, hey, that boy is nice at that right there, and I can't think of it. Seriously, like when he blitzes, I hate when they send him on blitzes because I just feel like it's always such a waste of time. When he drops back in coverage, I don't like seeing it because I just feel like that's not a strength in his game, being in pass coverage, being one-on-one with somebody in the open field. So it's like, what is Roquan Smith's specialty as the Baltimore Ravens inside linebacker? I just feel like they're not getting the bang for their buck from a Roquan Smith. So I don't know how his contract works out. I would have to look at it to see if that was even a possibility. Again, it probably won't happen too, but that would be my choice for sure.
Yeah, and we had another super chat donation here from Ticker Flipper. Appreciate you. Says 44 gives up plays but gets turnovers consistently. I mean, he does get turnovers. Do I think that those turnovers are gift wrapped, right, with a nice little bow on top? Yes, a lot of them were. It's not like Marlon Humphrey is like, locking his guy down, running the route for him, jumping routes, things like that. No, he just happens to be in the right place at the right time, which is a skill in itself, sure. And, the ball normally gets tipped and it just lands right in his hands. Like, an interception is an interception. Cool. A turnover is a turnover. Great. Awesome. But, like, when that comes with you getting burnt the very next drive, I mean, what are we supposed to do with that, right? What are we supposed to do with that? Appreciate the super chat donation. Getting ready to wrap up here. Just want to read through a couple more comments. Let me see. KVN got to go. I also agree with that. I don't need to see Kyle Van Noy in a Ravens uniform next year. This guy is old. He's over the hill. I think he's out of gas. He takes plays off. right? He can't get after the quarterback. I mean, he went from having, 12 and a half sacks last year to having, 2.5 this year? I could be wrong on that, but he has no more than three. No more than three. And, we just need some more production. That's honestly one of the biggest holes that needs to be, kind of patched up over this offseason. We need somebody who can rush the passer, man. We need someone who can rush the passer. I mean, when the likes of, Aaron Rodgers is dotting you up, of course, it's Aaron Rodgers. That's cool. But when Malik Willis is dotting you up, right? When second-year quarterback Drake May, who's been having an MVP caliber season, but again, he's a second-year quarterback, when he's dotting you up, walking up and down the field, go back to week 1 when Josh Allen is just doing whatever he wants. Down 15 minutes with 4 minutes to play, no problem. These guys aren't going to get any pressure on me. We brought in Derrick Henry to close games, right? But you have to there's a closer on offense, which I think is your running back. And then there's a closer on defense, which is a star blue chip pass rusher. I think you have to go out, you have to spend some capital to bring in a proven guy. Because Draymond Jones, maybe they bring him back, maybe they don't. He was fine, right? Mike Green, we all thought that, 17 and a half sacks in the Sun Belt Conference last year. Maybe that'll translate into at least maybe 10 sacks this year in the NFL. Nope. Had 2.5 sacks, maybe 3 at most, right? He's still got to grow into his grown man body. We don't know if he's going to develop into being a star player. You know what I mean? And I'm serious, and Graven, I watched Mike Green so many times this year get absolutely stonewalled by a left tackle or a right tackle. And he had nowhere to go. And the tackle didn't even really have to move his feet all that much. He was just like, all right, run right into me. I'm going to hold you right here for about 3 seconds. And that's exactly what happened, man. We have to find some way to bring somebody in that can rush the quarterback. That's my biggest thing going into this offseason.
Yeah, that would help out the defense immediately. I do still feel like the players that we spoke about, they still can be liabilities at a lot of different times. But a pass rusher would help with those liabilities a lot, because that would be less time for Roquan to possibly be in open space trying to cover somebody. That would be less time for Marlon Humphrey and man coverage against a receiver to get beat over the top. If that pass rusher, we have a legitimate pass rusher who's getting to the quarterback, that changes all that right away.
Yeah.
I have a kind of a question, maybe not. Trenton Simpson yesterday. Just on that play, they dumped it to Kenneth Gainwell. Does Roquan Smith make that tackle?
Oh, what
I don't
Trent
think he
Simpson
gets
made
out there
really
quick enough. No.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a guy, Trent Simpson, who lost his job to a rookie, came in on the fly, and played better, I think. I know it's obviously the Mike and the Will, but I think he played better than the $100 million linebacker. Why is that?
Yeah.
And that's telling.
Totally.
I thought Teddy Buchanan was playing better than Roquan Smith this year when he was, got it going after, the little rookie games, playing better than him. I just regression. It's like we pay these guys and they just go backwards. I don't get it. And I know we were all fans of Jeff Van Clowney. He had a pretty damn good year at the Cowboys this year. Signed off the street. 6.5 sacks. Would have been the team leader for us. Makes you wonder.
That's crazy. Wow. Crazy year. Crazy year,
insane stuff. Well, look, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the show 366. Before we do, though, I got one last question for you, Engraven. The Ravens are now in their off season.
Okay.
And of course, with draft talks coming up, I mean, we only got, I don't think you're a huge draft guy either. We're not huge draft guys here, but we do like to speculate on who the Ravens should get, right? Ravens have the 14th overall pick. What position do they go after? Remember, last time we had 14th overall, we got Kyle Hamilton. Ended up being a success. Who do you think that the Ravens should go after? What position? Not necessarily who, but what position should they go after with that pick number 14?
They have a vacancy on the offensive line, possibly two, depending on Andrew Voorhees. But no, he'll still be there. But so Daniel Farley is going to be gone. So you got a vacancy at right guard. But pass rush, but you still got Mike Green there. He's young, but you still do need more. Nnamdi Madubuike, I think a lot depends on what happens with him, if he ends up retiring or not. Wow.
Let's assume he is going to retire, right? Because I think that's kind of like where that's what it feels like right now. We haven't heard anything from Madubuike. Last thing we heard is, it's serious. Like, it's a serious neck. He hurt his neck. We don't like to say the I word on this podcast, but you get my point. I think he's done. So let's assume that he's not going to come back and play football? Who do you think that the Ravens should pick up?
I would say interior offensive line, because the interior offensive line, that changes everything for Lamar Jackson. It changes everything for Derrick Henry. It changes everything for Zay Flowers and Tez Walker and whatever other pass catches we have next year. It has been a big weakness of this team, but you know what's crazy is that even with the offensive line, I mean, the interior of the offensive lineman being a big weakness for these Ravens, they have still had a lot of success in spite of that. So it's like, man, just imagine if the offensive line could be good, if they could be sustainable, if they could be a respectable offensive line. So I would say offensive lineman, but then at the same time, I'm like defensive line too. Because if Nandi Matabike is done, then who's our other disruptive defensive line? I know we got Travis Jones, Aeneas
Can't
Peebles.
do it alone.
If Harbaugh sticks around, they don't respect Aeneas Peebles enough because they done had this man inactive like feels like the majority of the year, and I thought that he was going to have much more of an opportunity, especially when Namdi Matabike went out because he was brought in. He's a little smaller, but he was still a disruptive interior defensive lineman. You could play him inside, you could play him outside, you could do so much stuff with him. But they said, you know what? We lost our best defensive lineman. What are we going to use Aeneas Peebles for? Man, put that guy inactive every game. So I would say interior offensive lineman or interior defensive lineman.
Got it, got it. Alex, you?
Build the trenches. You haven't been doing it. Time to start. I mean, either D line, O line. I don't care. I need one of them. I tell you this, so I wouldn't hate a running back, maybe fourth or fifth round too.
Oh, you scared me. Oh, you scared me.
No, no, no. I saw this
Oh,
mock a running back. Derrick Henry still has it, but I
yeah.
think Justice Hill. I appreciate what you've done.
Oh,
Rashad Lee's been cool. I want to get maybe a guy who can pass block as well, who can come in there maybe on third down and help us out because what we have was not working.
mm.
Just kind of think about that. And honestly, life after Henry, this guy can't keep it up. He's an anomaly. I think we'll have a couple good seasons, but just kind of prepare for the future because I don't think we've done that really good. We kind of stick to our ways, and it's time to kind of start zagging or where they say we zig when people zag. No, no,
Yeah.
let's not do that.
Yeah, it's just
Let's
so
not do that.
stupid. It's so stupid. But guess what? Guess what? I mean, you guys make good points. Build the trenches, right? Interior O line, interior D line. Maybe we can get a hybrid interior D lineman who can rush the passer and he can be a run stuffer. That sounds great. That sounds awesome. EDC is going to be like, no, watch this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to draft a linebacker, a hard-nosed linebacker from Vanderbilt or something like that. You know what I mean? Or here's another corner from Clemson, right? Where we like to draft, in our philosophy is, okay, we got to build this team from the outside in. Skill players, everything like that first, and then trenches, we'll worry about that. I mean, we got Lamar Jackson. He's super mobile, right? We don't need to have the best offensive line, right? And then the trenches on the other side, again, we have a huge issue to address with no more Nnamdi Madubuike. You have to get somebody on that side, but I guarantee you, with that 14th pick, the Ravens are going to go with the three letters. That should be the bane of our existence when it comes to Ravens drafts.
oh, BPA.
BPA. Best player available. They're going to make look, they're already working on their draft boards right now. Again, if that, and I'm just saying this as like an example, but if that hard-nosed linebacker from Vanderbilt or Army or something, I don't know, if they're looking like, if they like him enough, they'll
Wake
take him
Forest.
at that spot. Wake Forest, yeah, exactly.
Kentucky. We're gonna draft Raymond Davis in the first round all over again.
We're gonna draft the linebacker. We're gonna draft the linebacker from a basketball school and be expected to just be cool with it, right? I'm telling you. I don't think that the Ravens are gonna go trenches, although I think that they should. I don't think that they're going to go trenches at 14. I think that they're going to say, I think we like a lot of guys. We like our guys on our draft board. I mean, that's kind of like the common theme, right? We like our guys on our draft board. We know we can get a good offensive lineman in the third or fourth round. That's probably how they'll carry it. But we're just going to have to wait and see, man. This season is over. It's come to a close. I still feel a little bit numb, but I want to say this, Engraven. I appreciate you so much for coming through. We both appreciate you, man, because we definitely needed this. We needed this vent session. I know we went a little bit over the time, but I mean, you were making a lot of good points, and I think we all were. I mean, it's just time for us to, and I appreciate the chat as well. The chat made a lot of good points. We didn't get to bring up everybody's
They are
comments,
funny, man.
so we appreciate all the super chat donations. We actually got one more
Let's
On the
go.
way out, another super chat donation. This one's from Coop Man. Appreciate you, Coop Man. Coop Man says we need SEC and Big Ten guys. I'm from the South, and they have NFL ready guys at schools down here.
They do.
There you go. But I
Yeah.
just I don't think that I think that they think that this offseason is just business as usual.
Mhm.
Business as usual, right? We have another chance to make another Super Bowl run. Let's just go with the best player available in the draft. I mean, we've already got Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. And by the way, before we wrap, I do want to shoot some bail to Zay Flowers. I think
Oh,
Raven just disconnected.
oh,
I want to shoot some bail to Zay Flowers, guys. I mean, I know I've been hard on Zay all year, but at the end of the day, he made some plays. He stepped up last night. And yeah, they were like a lot of them were deep balls where he seemed to be like pretty much wide open, especially that second one, but he made the plays, right? He was there for Lamar Jackson when Lamar Jackson needed him. He stepped up. I want to give a shout out to Zay Flowers. I want to give a shout out to Isaiah Likely for even giving us a chance at that field goal, that 44-yard field goal. And I want to I want to end it with this. And I don't know if Engraven is coming
his
back. I
computer
think he might
died.
have.
Thank you for coming through,
Oh
Raven.
dang!
Thank
Thank you for
you.
coming through, Engraven.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. But damn, what was I about to say? Can't even remember.
Steven loved the guys who showed up last night because I got some love I got to show too, as real quick.
Oh yeah. I said give a shout out to Zay Flowers. Give a shout out to Isaiah Likely. Am I still ready to say that Zay Flowers is a wide receiver one? No, I'm not. Not right. I'm not there yet. Maybe next year he can have some more dominant games and be a little bit more consistent, putting up 100-yard games and getting some touchdowns. But he had a good season, 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns, and I can't remember how many catches. But bravo to Zay Flowers. I will applaud him. Outside of that, though, I really don't have
Thank you.
really don't have too much. Oh, we got a super chat donation
man.
from the king of Ravens YouTube
Heart's
himself.
warm.
Just joined us. Appreciate you, Engraven. Appreciate that so much, man.
Thank you,
Always
man.
coming through, always supporting, man. Again, Engraven is the reason why we even have this podcast, why we started this podcast. Me and Alex actually first went live on Engraven's podcast before we started PRP. So, he's definitely a pioneer in this game. And so appreciate you, Engraven. Again, thank you for coming through. But Alex, who do you have who you want to give some flowers to?
Obviously, Xavier Kevon Flowers. You had the minerals. You landed it last night. I could be looking too much into it. I saw some growth from him. He celebrated the no taunting. Business per usual went out there. Another one. Obviously celebrated, but could have easily turned around, taunted. No, like in the end zone, ran straight up the field. I loved it. I hope that signs for next year as well. Growth. Isaiah Likely,
Yeah.
obviously, that catch. That's a big boy catch. It's a big time player catch. I think for me, that showed me growth on him, and I tweeted out that earned him a contract extension. Will he get it from us? I'm not too sure. Tez Walker, he had the drop problems. He had those drops against the Bengals, but on fourth down, fourth and what was it, 4 or 4th and 7, and we go for it in our half of the field, on their half of the field. First drive, it really set the tone, and you catch it. That's big from a guy like him
That was
who's
huge.
had very limited chances, and I'm really happy to see
Yeah.
that from him. Obviously, Lamar, that fourth quarter, probably one of the best quarters I've seen from him. It just sucks that I had a tweet that somebody responded back to me. He said Lamar can never have his moment, and just sit there and think about that. Think about that, because
Yeah.
last year he drove down the field with Anthony Miller, with Tylan Wallace, respect to him, with his backup receivers, went down there, scored on the Bills, hostile, dropped 2-point conversion. 3 different possible game-winning drives in Pittsburgh, in a place where he isn't good at. Steeler fans wanted him to play. They didn't want to see Huntley. They wanted to see Lamar. And he gave him how. I know they were scared of the fourth quarter. I know they were. Because he came down there
Yeah.
and just absolutely just ripped the most expensive defense apart in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Just shout out to them. I think he did what he had to do. So on to next year. I guess one good thing, I realized how much I hate the Steelers again, because I missed that rivalry. I went to bed seething, man. I'm like, I hope the Steelers don't win anything. I hope they lose next week. Like, that hatred is back. I hadn't felt
Yeah.
that in a while. I mean, last year I felt it. We blew them out, but man, I wanted to go in there and knock them out. But it's okay. We have next year, and we'll see. We'll see them 2 more times, and they'll get a higher draft pick or a lower. But it's all good. They can
Yeah.
have the division, have the trophy, have the shirt and hat, whatever. It's all good. I like where we're at. We'll be good. But yeah, a little bit of rambles I share, but I'm just I saw some growth from players last night that It's a moral victory.
Definitely did. I mean, it sucks, yes, and I'll just put a nice little bow on it with this. Like this season, if we just do a quick little recap, has been such a roller coaster of emotions, right? With this Ravens team. I mean, you go from before the season starts, you were odds on favorites to win the Super Bowl. Then, so you're like, we're up here. Then you start 1-5, so we're down here. Then you win 5 straight. Now we're back up here again, right? Then you lose on Thanksgiving. You lose a couple of games here. You win a couple here. So we're kind of like teetering here, right in the middle. And then you lose to the Patriots, and that plummets your chances all the way down to 7% to make the playoffs. We only had a 7% chance to make the playoffs. And last night, the Ravens, when Tyler Loop was going to line up for that field goal, I'm sure that their chances, if you had to look at like a predictor probability percentage thing, probably in the 90% range, right? Because if he makes that kick, I mean, we go to the playoffs. So it's been an up and down season. You know, some changes obviously need to be made. I think with leadership, as I always say, the number one rule of being a leader is that it's always your fault. When things go wrong, it always comes back on you. And I'm talking to John Harbaugh when I say that. I'm hoping Steve Bisciotti will hear this. Obviously, probably not this broadcast, but I'm hoping he hears the noise around. Like, hey, maybe you should change the leader of your team so the culture can change and they can get back to being the Baltimore Ravens that everybody knew and loved what 10 years ago, right? Or probably a little bit longer than
Yeah.
that. But you guys get my point. Overall, it's been a long season. You guys have been rocking out with us for the entire season. Of course, it's come to a close, but we are not done here in PRP. As you guys know, we cover this team 365 days a year. So the grind, it doesn't stop, right? So if that sounds good to you and you still want to hear about our Baltimore Ravens, all the news that comes out over the offseason, of course, we've got draft coverage and then everything else. Make sure you stay locked into PRP. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Helps us out a whole bunch. You guys don't even understand how much that helps the algorithm find us when you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also hype the video as well, which is a new YouTube feature. Again, episode 366 of PRP. It's been a great one. And with that being said, I'm gonna let my guy Alex take us out.
Yeah, it's a big year of sports, 2026. Not just football covered here. For me, got the World Cup, got a lot to look forward to. I know you have now for some MMA going to Paramount CBS, which is getting a lot of hype. So, what we become football, but we'll have a lot more to talk about. Like I said, draft, free agency. We'll hopefully maybe get a coaching change and we can analyze that more. But enjoy the roller coaster for what it was. Sad to see it go down. With like I said, would have loved to just put an egg on those face on those fans, but it wasn't meant to be. But as freaking always, stay positive and test negative. You woke up today.
Yes, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, kind of like this one, to call God. There's been another episode and another season of the Purple Rain podcast. Again, we're not done. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.